Krajem prošle godine vrednost startupa InCode procenjena je na više od $1 milijardu. Reč je o kompaniji koja u fokus stavlja razvoj tehnologije prepoznavanja lica, a ono što izdvaja jeste činjenica da kompletnu tehnologiju razvija upravo u Srbiji. O tome kako je sve počelo i kakva je budućnost ove tehnologije razgovaram sa osnivačem InCode-a Ricardom Amperom. Mr. Amper, thank you for speaking to Euronews Serbia.
Thank you for inviting me.
Here in your offices in Belgrade, you have a motto, everything begins with an idea. Tell us, how did you come up with the idea to enter into the world of face recognition technology?
So in 2016, I founded a company based in San Francisco with my co-founder Jovan Jovanovic from Serbia, Alex from Russia, and Mariana from Mexico. So it was 4 places, and we started with an app that would share photos automatically with facial recognition. You just take a picture, detect that you're you, and send the picture. And with that, we built one of the best facial recognition engines in the world at the time. And then in 2018, we decided to pivot into something that was more interesting, which was identity. And of course, identity is one of the most primitive industries that exist. Your money, your will, your healthcare data depends on a physical piece of paper or plastic. That was the invention of 3,000-year-old Egyptians. So we thought, what if we can apply AI, computer vision, and facial recognition to create a fully automated digital identity that can create a lot more trust than what the piece of paper does.
Why did you decide to work with Serbian IT experts?
Well, Serbia has fabulous engineers. I think it's a combination of great education, great mathematics, but I would say as well with a great resilience, which I think is, as I've learned from Serbia, is one of the most important traits. So when you translate that into a startup, when you have to be extremely resilient, when you have to have great talent, the team that Jovan, Sonia, and the rest of the team here in Belgrade created allowed us to create the best software in the world in the identity space and be able to survive through ups and downs where 2 times we were about to die as a company, and then eventually, as you know, we raised now a lot of money and we're now a unicorn.
Tell us, what are the biggest challenges for someone who starts their own business in this world?
Well, the most important challenge, I would say, is to overcome bias. When you have an idea that's disruptive, people think naturally that the status quo is the way to go. The second thing is we started as a non-traditional company. I'm Mexican, there's Russians, there's a lot of Serbians, of course Americans as well. So when we started raising money, it wasn't the normal setup. The leadership team was completely distributed in 4 locations. We were creating a product that at that time was not clear that was going to be super successful. Of course, when COVID came and everything became digital, then it was clear. So the most difficult thing is how to overcome bias. And honestly, in Silicon Valley, there's not that many examples of Mexicans and Serbians creating a company that can be the global leader in identity.
So can you tell us what are the practical examples in which face recognition technology can be used?
Main example is, for example, you want to open a bank account, right? And you want to prove your identity online. You take a photo of your face, and that becomes your identity. Take a photo of probably your physical ID for now. And that's kind of a main use case, but there's other interesting ones. For example, in Mexico, there was a lot of violence between 2 fans of soccer games. And so all of a sudden, the president of the league said, soccer cannot be anonymous. And what we did is we adapted our technology and we created InCode ID, which is a way to prove that the fan is who they say they are. And so very easily you can go into the stadium, enjoy the experience, bring your kids, pay with your face, and a lot of really kind of science-y examples. And we're solving something that previously was a security concern.
At the same time, there are a lot of criticisms when it comes to face recognition technology. Can you explain to us, is there really a risk for human rights violations when it comes to using this technology?
Yeah, the misconception lies because in face recognition there's 2 parts. The surveillance side, where it doesn't take into account your privacy, you don't know that you're being surveilled, and I think that is not something that InCode would ever do. And the other part is identity, where privacy is the key. Everything that we build, we have to give consent, the users have control, and have the ability to delete themselves. So it's quite the contrary because of privacy laws that say the identity data is the citizen's data, not the bank's information data or the hotel data. You as a user can decide how to use it in a way that can be much more seamless and much more secure. So it's actually the contrary. The more you use digital identity, the more people respect privacy.
So what does the Encode do with data that collects? Do you save them somewhere, or can your users, does your users know what data you have on them?
Yeah. Absolutely. We're completely transparent on what data do we have. They have full control of what can happen. Of course, we work jointly with banks and other companies, so we make sure that the end user has full control. And I think the most important thing is that when people feel and think about these technologies, all right, an identity store in the cloud, sometimes they feel, well, that might be a little bit dangerous. But if you analyze the status quo, which is you want to go and buy a beer and you have to show your ID, you have to show where you live, you have to show what's your name, what's easier? That people just grab a picture of your ID and then later impersonate you, or that they would attack a company that has the best security features in the world. So we think that the way we do identity is just a lot more safer.
When it comes to Serbia, does Encode have any projects here?
So with Serbia, we have projects here, of course, as we have in most of the countries in Europe. But the thing I'm the most excited about is the talent that exists in Serbia. So I was telling you, resilience is really important, and of course, a great level of engineering skills. But also what we found is that when the culture is such, right, and the obstacles that Serbians had to go through, you guys became a very, very resilient and creative society. Then when you put it in a constrained world, which is startup, it's how do you do a big company with a little bit of money, it's just absolutely incredible.
And at the end, can you tell us what are your plans for the future? What are some of the biggest challenges in front of you?
So the first one is we think identity is being reinvented. So instead of going to the bank and doing a very long process of proving who you are, instead of going buy beer and give too much information, it's going to be a 30-second experience. You do onboarding once, you prove your identity once, and then with your face and consent, you're going to be able to open a bank account in 30 seconds. You're going to be able to go to the doctor and transfer your information in less than a minute. And so the biggest opportunity is which companies are going to be authenticating users on behalf of them. And the other opportunity, which is trust. Every economic activity, whether you're doing payments, you're opening the bank account, you're going to the doctor, starts with identity. So if the identity is weak, if it can be easily spoofed, then the rest of the economic activity is weak. So by creating this digital identity that's all based in AI, it allows us to create a lot more trust. And with that trust, there's a lot of economic progress.
Mr. Amper, thank you for speaking to Euronews Serbia.
Thank you so much for the interview.